will you call roll, please? Urban? Here. Guerrero? Here. Kent? Weaver? Here. Pearson?
Here.
Stahl? Welby?
Here.
And Mr. Mills, would you really listen to all?
Yes.
In the pledge?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I think the flags got flip-flopped during the shampoo carpeting. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's start this evening with our recognition of visitors.
Well, as I mentioned, we do have Kendall King here from King's Financial, and he is going to talk. Kendall, we're gonna let you talk to us right off the bat.
Okay.
And then if you need to head on down the road, that would be quite all right.
Okay. Well, I'll need to get some paperwork done anyways for when you actually do the resolution, so it doesn't matter when you get it back. I can wait till you get the resolution if you want to.
That's fine.
But I'm gonna do this anyways, so.
Okay. Well, again, with the cleaning, everybody.
Sorry, he's holding the nameplate. Oh my gosh. Just turn off the camera.
We start before meeting.
Nope, it's all going on YouTube.
You got promoted to sit there.
You can tell it's summer. Sorry. Oh, goodness. All right, so,
I think we're right.
floor is yours.
So
He's
we'll,
gonna wait. Oh,
Kendall's
you're gonna wait?
He's
Okay,
gonna talk to us during new business.
perfect. So
Okay.
superintendent's report.
Okay, boys basketball co-op, as I mentioned, the Lincoln Prairie Conference would not agree to the co-op with Tri-City for next school year. And I believe that it was most likely due to the difficulty in schedules. So that was one roadblock. And then the MSM conference, we talked about the possibility that if the boys went to Tri-City, the girls would come here. MSM was not interested in letting Sangamon Valley into the conference for just girls basketball to host that sport. So, so I would say for right now that we need to continue on with discussions on that over the course of the school year. There's still interest, I believe, from both districts, but I would say for this year that we go ahead and have a regular boys basketball season here.
Okay, so it'll be tabled then to be considered for next year.
Yes,
Okay. We need to hire a coach.
we do. Is that why you guys came to find out? I guess maybe even to go further with that, just to kind of fill you guys in, we're going to divisional play in football. That means there will no longer be a conference for football.
Not this
And
week, ever.
not this school year, that'll happen during the 21-22 school year. And at that point, I think we probably as a group need to look at maybe conference affiliation, and if we're going to continue along the lines of co-oping and doing sports with Tri-City, then maybe we look to balance the co-ops and also look at maybe a common mascot and a common unit. So just something to think about, and I think that we need to discuss over the course of the next year or so. But for this year, we'll be back with a full boys basketball schedule. And that kind of segues into the feasibility study for consolidation. Jill Larson from Tri-City reached out to me, and as I mentioned in my report to you, she asked about our interest in a possible consolidation with Tri-City. And the part that was a little bit troubling is they wanted to also, at that point they were reaching out to no less than 5 school districts and inquiring about a feasibility study. And what I told Mrs. Larson is that I think if they were serious about it, that the scope of that needs to be narrowed. And my recommendation to the board at this particular time would be thanks but no thanks. And again, that would be up to you guys, but I just don't see much sense in a feasibility study that could potentially cost the district money while they're also looking at other surrounding districts. So if you're serious about it, then I think their board should do something more formal than a phone call. I think it should be a letter from their board president to our board president, and kind of move forward from there. So, any questions or comments or concerns on that?
What was their, you know, what their main reasoning was to try to do the study?
I think that obviously the size of our schools, I don't think it's motivated by the state at all. With the state wanting to cut down on the number of districts there are in the state.
You don't think they were trying to be proactive and get it done before?
No,
It feels like their board is just wanting to offer more to their students and have more opportunities and see where the best opportunity is. And I don't think it's within some of those.
Is that something we can engage in conversations with them outside of consolidation about AP courses, dual credit courses? Are they going to bring some students here for?
I would hesitate about trying to bus kids back and forth during the daytime. I think it creates a headache as far as just transportation and scheduling and downtime going back and forth on the buses. I think that would be very difficult. I think there were probably talks at one point of possibly doing that, but I think the logistics of it would be very difficult. I think we have been pretty progressive in our high school, and we're offering more things, and I think we'll continue to offer more things along the lines of dual credit and that sort of thing. So I would recommend that we just kind of sit back and see what they have to say. And see, I'd like to see what comes out of their other feasibility studies.
Do you know if they're going to proceed with one on their own, looking into other review things? Have they narrowed their search already?
I think they have narrowed their search, but I can't say for sure. I don't know if they've reached out to anybody formally with a letter. So
I just don't think there's any point in discussions until they come formally and say this is what we would like to propose, because then you just get everyone in an uproar about potentially nothing. So.
And another thing that I think both districts would have to consider is if there are no finances, or no financial opportunities through grants or something from the state board, I really don't know how we do it. There has to be some sort of building grant that would go along with that, because we don't have a space big enough for almost 400 high school kids. They don't have a space big enough for that. You think, well, we got all the kids in the buildings that we have currently. That may be true, but I don't think we have room without buildings. So without money, I
Don't see it as feasible.
my opinion.
Do you have any concern if we don't say we may be interested, that they'll go ahead and do a feasibility study with other schools?
Well, I think they're
and
going
miss
to.
the opportunity?
I think they're going to anyway. And I guess what it comes down to is, who do they want to be with? And if you go through all those other districts and find out that's not the one, well, then we can get together and have discussion.
And their next best options geographically would be what? Riverton,
Probably
Rochester?
Riverton. I don't think Rochester's interested.
And I think they wanted to approach those schools, Rochester, Williamsville, those kind of things, but Mount Pulaski, but that doesn't make any sense for us. It's not feasible for us, so why would we enter into that kind of spending money for something like that?
I do believe the two districts together, we've been doing stuff for so long, that we have a good fit for consolidation, but we said about the funds, it's very hard.
Well, and the money we spent years and years and years ago to do the first feasibility study said it should be Mount Pulaski, them, and us, and, you know, I
Everybody
feel like
dropped
that
off,
money's
yeah.
been spent. we know what it should be, but it's not what it is, so.
So that's kind of where we are. But if I do receive something in writing, or I'll bring it to the board, but obviously if Stephanie receives something, she would do the same. All right, next is the NG financial update. Based on the scope of work that we talked about at our last meeting, I think we've come up with a final dollar amount of $7,680,018. And the attorneys are still up hashing out some of the finer points of the contract. We're kind of hung up on insurance right now, who would be responsible for what, at least initially. So they're still working on that. We're close to having a final legal decision, but we do not have that. So I don't know if you have questions, or when we get to new business, I would recommend that we go ahead and agree to enter in to the phase one, pending not only the final legal decision, but also the acquisition of the funds to do a project like this, and that's why Ken was here.
And phase one is all inclusive of this entire project. They just call it that because of the potential for more somewhere down the road, correct?
Yes.
Okay. I'm sure we're all on the same page. I did ask at the meeting we had with her last week about a reduction in their fee, and that was, that's their fee, basically. So they, because we have reduced the scope of work, I was hoping there would be a reduction in their fee. But they are also essentially eating the cost of some air units that they had left out of all of the buildings, of the offices here in this building, so
Yeah, when
it kind of washes out.
when they knocked off the secure vestibules in the high school, part of that was remodeling the superintendent's office in that area and the high school office. And that included air conditioning. When we took that off, the air was included in on any of the parts, so they agreed to add that in at their costs. And I feel like though that number didn't change, we still were able to kind of comp some of it.
Agreed. Okay.
Next, summer work update. The high school roof right above us has been completed. I'm still waiting to walk through the final inspection with Century. And it's been a difficult time. They're trying to get everything done with the spring that we had. They have a lot of work going on, so I'll try to get with them and try to get that taken care of. Over at the primary building, we did move the climbing wall. The staff did move the climbing wall. I believe, what would that be, the north side to the south side?
North to south.
Yeah. To open up the openings for the tables that fold into the wall. They have completed that. The tables should be delivered within the next week or so. We've updated the lights in the cafeteria at the intermediate building. And we also updated the lights in the gym over at the elementary building, the newer gym. The gym floor repair is in process. I don't know if, did I send you guys pictures of that? I may have sent some of that, maybe Martha stuff, but they have a pretty large section open, of the floor open, and they are letting it kind of dry. So they should be in maybe the first of next week to start patching the way back. And they'll come back in and they'll sand the entire, or at least that section of the floor, and they'll paint to match the rest of the floor, and then they'll screen the entire floor and put another seal coat on it. So they've got a lot of work to do still. The concrete at the high school has been fixed in the student loading area. I mentioned the roof replacement is done. We put new tile in the art room and scans room, Carl Spath's room, Tracy Chakowski's room. We pulled the carpet up on there, and that's all installed. We did some painting in the art room, so. And we finished the greenhouse finally. So it's been a very productive summer, but we still have a ways to go. But I think we'll be ready on August 12th. That's all I have.
Okay. So then at this point, are we going to proceed into closed session? motion to enter closed session for the reasons stated on the agenda? Motion made by Jeff Stahl, is there a second?
Second.
By Eric Pearson, call roll please.
Guerrero, yes. Weaver, yes. Pearson,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes.
Welby,
Yes.
Urban.
Yes. 6:15. Need a motion to accept the closed session minutes as read in closed session.
So moved.
Motion made by Eric Pearson, is there a second?
Second.
Martha Leeser, call roll please.
Pearson,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes.
Welby,
Yes.
Urban,
Yes.
Guerrero.
Yes.
What?
Oh, Weaver. Yes. She's always a little slow.
Okay.
Good answer.
Motion to employ Amber Davis as a second grade teacher.
So moved.
Motion made by Cindy Urban, is there a second?
Second.
Linda Welby, call roll please.
Stahl,
Yes.
Welby,
Yes.
Urban,
Yes.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Weaver, yes. Pearson.
Yes.
Motion to employ Sarah Ingram as a middle school science teacher.
So moved.
Motion made by Eric Pearson, is there a second?
Second.
Linda Welby, call roll please.
Welby,
Yes.
Urban,
Yes.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Weaver, yes. Pearson,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes.
Motion to employ Nick Neely as the high school head varsity basketball coach.
So moved.
Motion made by Jeff Stahl, is there a second?
Second.
Linda Welby, call roll please.
Urban,
Yes.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Weaver, yes. Pearson,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes.
Welby,
Yes.
Motion to employ Alexa Jones as high school assistant volleyball coach.
so moved.
Motion made by Martha Leeper, is there a second?
Second.
Linda Welby, call roll please.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Weaver, yes. Pearson,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes.
Welby,
Yes.
Urban.
Yes. Motion to employ Alexa Jones as middle school head volleyball coach.
So moved.
Motion made by Eric Pearson, is there a second? Second. Cindy Urban, call roll please.
Pearson,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes.
Welby,
Yes.
Urban,
Yes.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Weaver, yes.
Motion to employ Joe Scanavino as high school head scholastic ball coach.
So moved.
Motion made by Cindy Urban, is there a second?
Second.
Eric Pearson, call roll please.
Stahl,
Yes.
Welby,
Yes.
Urban,
Yes.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Weaver, yes. Pearson,
Yes.
Motion to employ Joe Scanavino as middle school assistant scholastic ball coach.
so moved.
Motion made by Martha Leeper, is there a second?
Second.
Cindy Urban, call roll please.
Welby,
Yes.
Urban,
Yes.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Weaver, yes. Pearson,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes.
Motion to accept the resignation of Josh Myers as high school PE teacher, dean of students, and activities director.
So moved.
Motion made by Eric Pearson, is there a second?
second.
Cindy Urban, call roll please.
Urban,
Yes.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Weaver, yes. Pearson,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes.
Welby,
Yes.
Motion to accept the resignation of Leanne Myers as kindergarten teacher.
so moved.
Motion made by Martha Leeper, is there a second?
Second.
Linda Welby, call roll please.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Weaver, yes. Pearson,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes.
Welby,
Yes.
Urban,
Yes. Motion to accept the resignation of Carol Stacy as middle school assistant volleyball coach.
So moved.
Motion made by Eric Pearson, is there a second?
Second.
Linda Welby, call roll please.
Pearson,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes.
Welby,
Yes.
Urban,
Yes.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Weaver, yes.
Motion to accept the resignation of Jennifer Williams as bus monitor.
So moved.
Motion made by Jeff Stahl, is there a second? Martha Leeper?
Oh,
Cindy?
Cindy.
Okay. Call roll please.
Stahl,
Yes.
Welby,
Yes.
Urban,
Yes.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Weaver, yes. Pearson,
Yes.
And a motion to accept the 2% salary increases of the superintendent and building principals for the 2019-2020 school year.
so moved.
Motion made by Martha Leeper, is there a second?
Second.
Eric Pearson, call roll please.
Welby,
Yes.
Urban,
Yes.
Guerrero,
Yes.
Weaver, yes. Pearson,
Yes.
Stahl.
Yes.
Okay. At this point, we move on the agenda to the consent agenda. Does anybody have any questions about anything in your packet or on the table in front of you this evening? Okay, so we need a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
Motion made by Eric Pearson, is there a second?
Second.
Martha Weaver? Call roll, please.
Urban?
Yes.
Ferrera?
Yes.
Baker? Yes. Pearson?
Yes.
Stahl?
Yes.
Well.
Yes.
All right, new business. I'm gonna get a miracle here.
There. All right, Kendall's up.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Kendall King with King's Financial. So we're a small family-owned financial advising firm that helps school districts out with bond issuances. We've met several times with Bob and with the finance committee to go over a bunch of different options, kind of honed it down. We started out looking at a bunch of different financial options, kind of whittled it down, come up with what we thought we came up with two, and then I went ahead and added a third one. Good options to kind of present to the full board for input and discussion. And then also on the agenda tonight is a resolution of intent to issue bonds. This is just the first step in the process. This is not a final and binding step in the process. This is basically just something we have to do to start, get the process rolling. The final sale that we will be authorizing, that we will be adopting and authorizing the sale will not take place for about another two board meetings after this. Just real quick, a little bit of background about our company for those of you who I have not met. I went to the University of Illinois, got an accounting degree, and then my CPA. After that, I went down to Nashville, Tennessee, spent a couple of years working for Ernst & Young, which is a really large accounting firm, doing corporate tax for a couple of years for them. My father twisted my arm, convinced me I needed to come back and join the family business in 2016. Basically, it was a lot of things kind of came together, but the state of Illinois was broke, so they weren't making payments to schools, so all the schools were broke and everybody was issuing bonds, and he was swamped with work and said, I needed some help here. So convinced me to come back and join the firm at that time, and so I've been with the firm a couple of years now, and helped out several different school districts. A little bit about my father's background. He actually grew up on a dairy farm and started in that industry for a while, but he had three older brothers that all went back to join the farm, so he decided it was probably smart for him to get out and do something else. And so he also went to University of Illinois, ag business, and got his CPA as well, and then eventually ended up in this business and has been doing this for almost 20 years now. So we work with a lot of different central and southern Illinois schools. A large amount of our clients are actually based in southern Illinois, so going kind of Effingham, south of there, and especially south of 70 and east of 57, that kind of corner of the state. We have a large amount of clients down there. But we do also have a sprinkling around central Illinois as well. So we're based out of Monticello. We have them as a client. We work with Sir Gordo. We just now did a project with D-Land Weldon that we're wrapping up here. Gibson City, Fisher. Going the other direction over towards Springfield, we have New Berlin. And so we have a handful of clients in the area. But for the most part, we found that we have usually been able to relate pretty well to a lot of your smaller, more rural districts. Coming from the background that we have, and that's because we typically understand kind of the goals of what those districts are trying to accomplish, right? You're trying to make your facilities as nice as you can for your students, while at the same time not absolutely breaking the bank. A lot of times we'll have these Chicago or St. Louis-based firms that'll come in with this certain mentality that the world's always going to grow, EAVs are going to be shooting up, we can put these huge balloon payments, those kinds of ideas. We, in general, feel like we can come up with better solutions that fit with school districts in your more rural areas when that's not necessarily always the case. That's enough for the stump speech. Now go ahead and jump into your current situation. So basically you have the capital projects that you'd like to complete. The goal for this financing is to come up with enough funds that will be able to cover both this NG contract for the projects that they're doing, and then also have some left over for some other projects that I know we've talked about coming down the line in terms of roof replacements, potential boiler replacements when those come, even if they're not this year, within the next few years to kind of get prepared for some of those. And also just have to put a little bit of working cash in the bank to kind of bank that for potential operating deficits, because I know you guys have been adding a few staff positions and are budgeting for some deficits in the upcoming years. Big part of what makes this all happen is Sangamon County passing sales tax, so that's a huge chunk of the change that you guys now get. So you can now shift a lot of the costs of financing this project over on the sales tax side of things, as opposed to having to put it all on the backs of property taxes. That's always a good thing when you can transfer that tax, because now all of a sudden, people who are going to Springfield and spending money at restaurants there, they're helping finance your schools. This next page here shows you what your debt limits are. There's going to be a lot of numbers on this page, but just to try and summarize it a little bit, basically you take your EAD times 13.8%, that's the statutory max, comes out to roughly just shy of 13 million is the max amount of debt that you guys can have outstanding. There's a whole separate calculation for working cash bonds at the bottom, and your limit comes out to 2.8 million now. And I actually just updated this with the new 2018 EAD numbers now that they've come out. So that's gone up just a little bit since when we first started talking about this process and whatever our debt limits for the first time. This next page will show what your existing debt is. So there's just two bond issues, the Series 2013 and the Series 2016, and those are both paying off here in December of 2020. One of those is being paid out of sales tax money, and the other one is on the levy. So the one that's on the levy has established a payment of roughly just shy of $170,000 every single year. So that's kind of what we consider as the levy that you have existing and what we're going to have to work off of going into the future. So we're trying to find a way to not necessarily mess around with that levy too much. We don't want it to jack up and then increase your property taxes substantially. We want to just pretty much keep that level and keep it going for a while, or maybe a slight increase. And then Mr. Meadows has talked about having some ideas for how to take a couple cents out of some other operating funds to account for a slight increase. This next page will show you what your EAD history is. This is just kind of an FYI for your reference. Since the crash in 2008, you went down just ever so slightly in 2008, and a lot of districts kind of plateaued then. A lot of your suburban districts, they had a substantial decrease during that time. Most of your rural district kind of just held steady. Nobody really went that far backwards, but you just kind of plateaued and held tight for a couple of years there. And then ever since that time, you've had pretty consistent growth in between 2 and 3%. For the most part, that's really just been farm ground has been revalued and continued because of inflation just continues to get value higher. You guys probably haven't had a substantial amount of new growth in terms of new construction, new buildings, any of that kind of stuff. It's mostly just value growth in terms of inflation, but it still exists and it still is a factor that goes into your rate. And so it's something you kind of take into account as you consider future financing. So this next page is kind of the meat of the presentation here. So this is the 3 different options, and at the Finance Committee we had just talked about the first two. I went ahead and put in the third one just to show what you can do to get to that as well. But essentially this is the one that kind of open up for discussion for the whole board to take a look at these, kind of see what they would like to do going forward. The action item that we're going to take today is not binding on any of these 3 options, so it's not like we have to pick one and decide for sure we're doing this today. The action that we're doing today, actually, I set the limits at higher than any of these limits that we would need, just to make sure we have room for whatever option we chose, and also leaves us a little bit of room for potential upward swings in interest rates. So if interest rates are slightly lower when we go to sell, we can get a little bit more dollars than we are estimated at this time, because we're really just using estimations at this point. But kind of the whole goal is now to just have some discussion about what people's thoughts are between these 3 different options and what everybody feels comfortable with as a whole.
In your goal, Bob, NG is 7.6 million. You'd like another million for future needs. So your you'd like us to be in the 8.5-ish range.
Yes,
Yes.
At 8.8.
if we can get there.
Because NG is essentially 7.7.
There you go.
Right. Right. Okay.
Where are these bonds getting sold? Or if we do it?
Where do they get sold?
When would they get sold?
So the next page actually has timeline. So tonight we'll be doing what's called the resolution of intent. That starts a 30-day petition period, so now the public has 30 days to go out and sign petitions if they want to basically stop you from doing bonds. In August, we'll come back and we'll do a public hearing. That's another opportunity for the public to come and give their input if they want to. And then in September, that will be, and this is all subject to change. We can push it back later if we need, but this is the proposed timeline for now. In September, that's when you would be adopting the sale resolution. Once after that time, we would be taking care of all of the paperwork, going and filing stuff with all the county clerks. And then sale usually happens about 2 to 3 weeks after that time.
When's the Fed meeting in?
What's that?
When's the interest rate maybe cut by? That
This fall, I
this
think.
fall?
So interest rates are kind of always fluctuating on a daily basis, just based on a number of different factors. I think the biggest thing that's keeping rates down right now is actually the trade tariffs with China, more so than any effect the Fed is having. I mean, the Fed was pushing rates early in the year, and they've already announced a couple more increases, but it's more than likely, I would say the trade tariffs in China are going to have a bigger effect on rates. If those get lifted, we could see rates shoot up. So I'm hoping we get this sold before that happens, frankly. The trade wars are actually good for muni bond rates because they're inversely related to the stock market and other rates. So I'm actually hoping the trade war continues so that we can get these things sold.
As far as repayment, we still have these payments on until 2020. Where do we sit with that?
So we've structured all the debt to wrap around that existing. So this first payment won't start till after that, and for any amount of interest that we need to pay before that, we will refund little chunks of those two payments, basically make space for that.
Okay.
So whatever I say in these options, that's setting your payment there, it's going to be there forever. It's not like it's going to be higher for 2 years and then drop when those come off.
And we don't have any time where we're paying on the old ones and the new ones. We're gonna make
So
final payment on them.
you'll be paying interest on the new ones while you pay off the old ones, but you won't be paying principal on the new ones
Right.
until that gets done.
Okay.
So you're kind of wrapping around that structure.
And then your option 2B, we'll call it, gives you the 20-cent bond on the levy, which is just rolling over what we're going to be dropping off. And you're assuming a 1% increase in EAV then per year? Or what's that 1% increase?
So, and I'm sorry, this is the options 1, 2, and 3. This should be a 3, not a 2.
Okay, so 3 is what I'm talking about.
So you're talking about option 3, I'm sorry about
Yeah.
that. Yes, so option 3, that includes a 1% increasing factor on the bond levy. So that's assuming that, but either EAV is going to go up and then you're going to have a constant rate, or if EAV is going to stay flat and the rate might creep up a couple cents over several years.
Okay.
So basically, that would be, yes, budgeting for assumed EAV increases. If those don't happen, you're going to have a slight bond levy rate increase over the years until you reach the call date about 7 years in. Then you would probably refinance, cut that back down, and then maybe add another year or two on the end. So,
Well, other than that, 2 and 3 are exactly the same.
that's correct. Yep. So basically, by having that 1% increasing factor, that generates an extra $300,000. That's what we're estimating.
And do you feel more comfortable with having the 300,000 on hand for additional things that maybe need
Well,
to
I
be done
know
over?
that we're always going to have things that we're going to fix. So, I think the 8.8 million, if we could get to that, would be, I think not only would that take care of the things that we need to do in that period of time, but would also allow us to, like I mentioned, some of the things that come along during the school year, as far as, maybe a student that requires special needs, or the things that you can't budget for, that you can't levy for, we need to continue to have that. And that's why the working cash was so set almost 7 years ago, was to have that, that nest egg if something bad happened. We're probably going to use a good portion of this to continue on and to make repairs to the buildings. And we've also taken money out of working cash that we really never intended to do that, to fix roofs and gym floors and
And I think when we had the financial meeting, I mean, our main concern was A, not raising taxes for any of the taxpayers. So being able to come to these numbers without doing that. B, I personally didn't want to go above the 20 years. I just think extending out to 25, you mentioned that too, is just, I don't, beyond my realm of comprehension. I think it just seems
20
like.
is very difficult.
Yeah,
I've,
agree.
but
But at the same time, it allows us to do these improvements to better our buildings and provide more for the kids, and maybe make us more attractive to future move-ins. If we have newer facilities, we have air conditioning, we have windows, we have, that kind of thing. So, I get this the scope, but we wanted to make sure that we were also being as financially responsible as possible. And to me, I'm leaning then more towards 2 or 3, because I don't want to go to that 25-year mark on option 1, basically. And it doesn't get you the access that you're needing for, or potentially needing for other improvements.
We still have,
But then the money over and above can be invested
Right, and it should be invested to make that
above the
interest.
NG payments.
Right.
You can invest that and make all that.
So we're holding back 20% of our expected annual sales tax money and issuing working cash bonds.
to try to continue to do some of the things that are not included in this, and the engine packet.
Yeah.
Like,
And not raising the tax levy, because,
Right, just adjusting it and
yes.
not letting it fall off when it falls off in 2020.
And actually, it won't even take that much adjusting on your part, because I just looked at it this morning, and it was 18.5 cents is what your levy was after the EAV increase, so then we have to find a cent and a half in other funds to adjust it by, to get it up to 20 cents. So I would think that's pretty easy to do.
And due to the cost of this, I did contact James and go over this with him today too, so that we all had input on this evening. And he had basically, reviewed this. His opinion was, because he doesn't have a crystal ball and we can't see what's potentially gonna happen in the future, he was comfortable with option 3 for that reason. So, just sharing that with all of you as we go forth tonight. Does anybody have any questions on any of the 3? Or in the Wally Center?
We need to zoom in and say this will not raise
Yes.
taxes.
Yes.
Look into the camera now.
Yes. The NG work that we're looking at, and maybe going over our scope of work again, is windows in all buildings that don't already have double pane windows. It is air conditioning in all buildings. It is a new vestibule in the intermediate building in Illiopolis. It's new safety and electrical, cameras, entry systems, that kind of thing on the safety end of it. Again, at no increased cost to the taxpayer by doing it this way.
Sangamon County passing sales tax, really, that's huge. That's what makes this whole thing fly, because that's a substantial amount of revenue that you guys can get.
Yeah. Agreed. And I feel like
Another,
the 1.4% that you have on here for potential increase in that over, I feel like Sangamon County is gonna have a lot more with all of the tourism money they bring in. That's a real potential there where Macon County, I don't know, it's necessarily gonna grow as fast as
It's
far as
usually-
sales tax.
It's usually fairly customary to plan for some increases, especially on the sales tax side, because the sales tax is basically just increases by inflation every single year, for the most part. But, we like to usually use a relatively conservative number on that. And in terms of additional flexibility too, you will have a call date that comes up somewhere in between 7 and 10 years down the road, so that will be the time when you can refinance these to adjust basically for either way. So if you've had sales tax money grow a lot faster, all of a sudden you have a pretty good chunk of it sitting there, you could pay down a bunch of this debt to get it paid down sooner. Or if sales tax money hasn't been growing and you need it for some other products, then you could take the other direction, you could spread it out further or take on more debt. So you're gonna have some flexibility when the call date comes around.
And there's no potential to pay anything off prior to the call date,
That's correct.
so you have to wait for that call date. Okay.
so we could have a, like I said, a good chunk of money. sitting
But you could
there.
sit it, yeah, you could sit it, in a fund, and then you could have it earn, be earning interest, and just wait for that call date.
Okay.
Or you could you could set up an escrow if you wanted to do kind of an advanced refunding type of deal. You could set up an escrow, have money set there to earn it, but it's usually just a simple move to fund it as you have some flexibility with it.
Any other questions?
Looking forward to helping you guys out on this one.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Kendall.
And I've got some paperwork here to get signed by the President and Secretary
Okay,
after the motion.
okay. So do we want to go ahead and do that motion? Is that the first one here? The first few?
Yes,
So
the
that he
first
can be
one's
on this.
the alternate revenue source, the sales tax, and then the second one.
Okay, so let's go ahead and do those so that we can finish with him. Motion to adopt the resolution declaring the intention to issue general obligation bonds, alternate revenue source, of Sangamon Valley Community Unit School District Number 9, Macon, Sangamon, Christian counties in Illinois in an amount not to exceed $6.8 million pursuant to the Local Government Debt Reform Act of Illinois, or the State of Illinois, as amended for the purpose of paying the cost of improving school sites and altering, repairing, and equipping school buildings and facilities of said district.
So moved.
Martha Leeper, is there a second?
Second.
Linda Weldy, call roll please.
Guerrero.
Yes?
Leeper. Yes. Pearson.
Yes.
Stahl.
Yes.
Welby.
Yes.
Urban. Yes.
And then secondly, a motion to adopt the resolution declaring the intention to issue $2.7 million working cash fund bonds of Sangamon Valley Community Unit School District Number 9, Macon, Sangamon, and Christian counties, Illinois, for the purpose of increasing the working cash fund for said school district and directing that notice of such intention to be published in the manner provided by law.
So moved.
Motion made by Eric Pearson. Is there a second?
Second.
Martha Leeper?
Yep.
Call roll, please.
Pearson.
Yes.
Stahl.
Yes.
Welby.
Yes.
Urban. Yes. Guerrero.
Yes.
Leeper. Yes.
Okay. And then I think I had mentioned, also asked in the meeting, if for some reason we don't come to a contract agreement with NG, then this would just all fall on the wayside, basically, even though we've started the process. You want us to go ahead and do your signatures so you can head out, or?
No, you guys are pretty close. It's probably not going to take too long.
Okay,
I'll just let it finish up.
all right.
I appreciate it, though. Thank you.
No problem. So then going on into the NG,
I
we
think,
want any discussion on that?
I don't know, we talked a little bit about it in the superintendent's report. I think we've come to an agreement of what we would like to see done and what that amount's going to look like. And once again, it's all pending not only the final legal agreement, but also if the community come in and say, no, we don't want to do this, and they have petitions or whatever, then that stops it. No payments or anything out at this point. It's just agreeing to what we want to do pending legal.
Okay, so a motion to approve pending the final legal agreement and the acquisition of appropriate funding, the Phase 1 contract with NG for a total amount not to exceed $7,680,018.
So moved.
Motion made by Jeff Stahl, is there a second?
Second.
Eric Pearson, call roll please.
Stahl.
Yes.
Welby.
Yes.
Urban. Yes. Guerrero.
Yes.
Leeper. Yes. Pearson.
Yes.
Okay.
Next, it's time to renew the Sentinel again. We do that every year at this time. They did not raise the fees this year as compared to last year. It was $19 per subscription, and I don't know how many subscriptions we had district-wide.
900 something, is it 950 that we decided?
Is that total though? Or is that, I think that might be total subscriptions because we go out every.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I thought we
So
were
it's lower.
district-wise, we were somewhere in the mid-700, 750 range. But
Makes sense.
we use the Sentinel for a lot. The teachers use it to keep the message out. I think it's very worthwhile to have. And we also use it to put our newsletter.
Which you're getting a new newsletter next week.
Yeah.
Watchful.
So we need the motion to renew the subscription of the Sentinel for the 2019-2020 school year at a cost of $19 per subscription.
So moved.
Motion made by Cindy Urban, is there a second?
Second.
Linda Welby, call roll please.
Welby.
Yes.
Urban. Yes. Guerrero.
Yes.
Leeper. Yes. Pearson.
Yes.
Stahl.
Yes.
And just, we do double check and make sure we go through the subscription and that we're not doing duplicates and all that sort of thing too. So we'll try to spend as few dollars as we can. Next up, as I mentioned in your board packet, our current accounting software is no longer supported. And a lot of the districts around us are using Skyward, not only for their accounting software, but they also use it for their student management system as well. It's a good program. I think Carol's comfortable with it, and the fact that there are people that she can reach out to close. It is a large cost, but all of the companies were charging quite a bit that we looked into for the data transfer. And that's what the large chunk of this is. And what Carol was proposing to do is that we purchase this now, and this year she received training on it. And we had talked about starting as early as October, for her running parallel programs, doing the Skyward and the one that she's currently using. She thinks that we need to get through the end of the year and W-2s and all that. So she's saying that she would like to start it in January. But we need to go ahead and move forward, if you will, and purchase that.
So what's the yearly fee after this data transfer? I couldn't figure it out.
Is it in here somewhere?
Yeah, I thought it was. I thought she told me it was around 9,000.
On the second page.
I
They're
saw the
all-
data transfer fee in here somewhere.
Crazy high, and she told me
Data
that
migration
number too.
was,
$9,600 is a platinum package, silver and gold or lower, or silver.
here, report is $650 a student, so that's $4,680.
At this.
I'm not sure what the recurring fee or the annual fee is on that, but
Data migration is only $23 and $40, but it's discounted, so I don't know if that's a big part.
Yeah, I think
Your biggest cost is the web, is the training. $11,000.
This says total 12-month recurring fees, and it comes down to $56.52. But then this page. That was the initial setup of it.
I don't know what the annual fee is, but we have to have a.
Yeah, I didn't know if
software.
you knew. I couldn't figure it out.
And we did look into, she looked into 3 different software packages, and I don't know those, I don't remember those off the top of my head, but again, Skyward is what many of the districts are using, and they swear by it. Our accountants also work with a lot of districts with Skyward, so they also recommended that we go over it. And I apologize, I
You're
don't
not
know.
using it at this point for student management, just accounting.
I think you asked me about the possibility of maybe being some sort of discount. And I don't remember if I told you no, or, but I asked Carol about that, and she said that if we ever decided to change our student management system, that we would receive a discount for already having the Skyward. So I don't want to recommend that, but I know
Would
that it
that
is a.
also be the same, like we can transfer over our own data, we would have a data fee for that as well?
I believe so, yes.
That seems. All right, so motion to purchase the Skyward accounting software at a total cost of $36,426 for the initial phase. Obviously. Michael Leeper, is there a second?
Second.
Eric Pearson, call roll please.
Urban? Yes. Ferrero?
Yes.
Leeper? Yes. Pearson?
Yes.
Stahl?
Yes.
Welke?
Yes.
Okay.
Biannually or twice a year, depending on how you look at it. Never. You either use it twice a year, or say it every year, twice a year.
I'd rather you do it biannually.
Well, anyway, we have to decide to keep the closed session minutes closed, and again, with the nature of some of the things we had to talk about, personnel and student-wise, I would recommend that you do that.
Okay, so motion to keep the closed session minutes from January 2019 through June 2019 closed.
Move.
Motion made by Jeff Stahl, is there a second?
Second.
Eric Pearson. Call roll please.
Guerrero,
Yes?
Leeper, yes. Pearson,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes.
Welby,
Yes.
Urban. Yes.
Next up, for the safe schools, that includes both Million Academy and Futures for the 1920 school year. I would recommend that we enter an agreement. I think I mentioned that there's been debate with Senate Bill 100 and the fact that you just don't kick kids out of school forever. You have to provide them some sort of alternative education, and both Milligan and Futures, I should say Futures Unlimited, make sure we put that correctly in the motions,
Okay.
for services for that kind of school.
So motion to enter into an agreement with the Macon Hyatt Regional Office of Education for Safe School and Futures Unlimited services for the 2019-2020 school year.
So moved.
Motion made by Glenda Welby, is there a second?
Second.
Eric Pearson, call roll please.
Pearson,
Yes.
Stahl,
Yes.
Welby,
Yes.
Urban. Yes. Guerrero,
Yes?
Leeper, yes.
And the last one, usually around this time, we get a request from Nancy Dell and the summer rec program. They rent a couple buses and pay the drivers to transport the kids. I think, I remember she told me they were going this year. Anyway, they would like to have 2 buses to haul kids.
Hopefully like camp one way or whatever.
That sounds right. But they would like to use that again, and I would recommend that we do that at no cost to the district.
So motion to allow the summer rec program to use 2 buses and drivers at no cost to the district. So moved. Motion made by Cindy Urban, is there a second?
Second.
Eric Pearson. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 6-0. All right.
Before we move on to the next regular meeting scheduled for August 21st, we are going to, I have 2 interviews set up for, or Jonathan has 2 interviews set up for the dean activities director position. We have 2 this Friday and 2 the following Friday. And we will have a recommendation to you by the end of the business on the 26th. So with that, could we look at a possible date to get a quorum here and
The first week of August.
get that higher?
Can I get my,
Yes.
Do all of those interviews, do they all have that Series 75?
That type 75.
Type 75.
Currently, 1 does, I believe, 2 do not. One of them is at the U of I right now and has started the program and is pretty far along in the program. And I kind of mentioned to you guys, I didn't want to put type 75 preferred, but it's not an end all be all. I'd rather have the right person than limit ourselves to someone with the type 75 that maybe might not be the best candidate. So as long as they're at least maybe either working towards that or they have some sort of desire to continue on with that, I think that would be okay. Again, there would be no coaching tied into that position, so they could focus on the job of activities director and help out with supervision, not only in the high school, but in all the buildings.
so we're looking at the 29th, 30th, is that Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday?
I'm out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, it's for vacation.
I'm not also. It's not vacation, but I'm going to be gone.
I'm out Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Friday. Thursday the 1st is my only option that week.
And I'm out Thursday, Friday.
What about Friday the 26th, when you're on vacation, so, like, could we do it the Friday the 26th, do you have interviews that day? But you're gone, right?
I leave the next day, Saturday.
We can come in and do a 5:30 on that Friday.
Friday, July 26th.
Anybody else? Oh, you know what? I have to be in Bloomington by 6. I can do, or I put 6:30, I can budget. So it shouldn't take long, right? Can anybody do any earlier than 5:30? Can you do 5?
I could.
5? 5? Okay, so how about 5 on the 26th?
Special meeting. 5.
So how many people have you got? I'm the only one that does have a calendar on her phone, so if I get home and I'm wrong, are you?
We have 5 of us, so,
Okay, all right.
and potentially a 6th if James can come.
What time did you say, Kim?
5.
July 26th,
So we'll take roll, go right into closed session, have discussion, and
And that gives you enough time to pull your, and you'll know by then.
Okay. So, next special meeting, July 26th, 5 PM. Next regularly scheduled meeting, the 21st at 6 PM. And I guess at this point, if we don't have anything else, we need a motion to adjourn. Motion made by Jeff Stahl. Second? Second. Martha Lee. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?